Senator Ernst.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. James, very much for being here today. And I would like to echo the thoughts that were shared by Senator Rounds as well. That was a devastating flood up and down the Missouri River during 2011. And our state, of course, like all of the other states involved in that flooding situation, had called up many of their National Guardsmen. I was one of those National Guardsmen that was called up. I spent a lot of time on the levee system up and down the Missouri River in that particular summer. And I just want to emphasize how devastating this was, because during that flood event, we had people in southwest Iowa that were out of their homes for months. And actually, much longer than that. The reason they were out of their homes for 4 months is because their homes were literally underwater for 4 months. That's the significance of this flood event. This was not a quick pass-through event. They were out of their homes for 4 months. Only after the waters had gone away were they able to come back to an absolutely devastating situation. Some of those folks are just now getting back into homes that have been rebuilt. So very devastating actions. We need to make sure that that doesn't happen again, whether it's the rewrite of the master manual by the Corps of Engineers, whatever has to happen, the measurement tools in place, we need to do that. It's something that will never be forgotten up and down that river system. In 2008, I was also called up as a National Guardsman, this time in a different flood event in Cedar Rapids. And when we sat down in my office about a month ago, I had told you about this, and I explained the challenges that are being faced by the city of Cedar Rapids and its flood mitigation project. So in 2008, the city suffered a devastating flood as well, and that loss to that community was $5.4 billion. I'm not talking hundreds of millions, $5.4 billion of losses to the city of Cedar Rapids. The city's flood mitigation project was first authorized in the 2014 Water Resources Development Act, or WRDA, and then mentioned for prioritization in WRDA 2016. However, due to the project's low benefit to cost ratio, the BCR, Cedar Rapids has been unable to secure federal funding for it. And the reason for that is because of the relatively low property values in the city. Iowa has very reasonable housing property values. So that keeps the BCR down, and it prevents federal funding. This is not an issue that's unique to Iowa. I've talked to many other rural legislators that are suffering from the same low BCRs. The Corps has some discretion to fund projects with low BCRs if it deems there is a significant risk to human safety. In fiscal year 2017, 4 of the 5 projects receiving funding under this human safety exception were in California. 4 of 5 in California. And will you commit to ensuring that all areas of the country are treated equally in this aspect?
Yes, ma'am, I most certainly will.
I think that one life in California is equal to the value of a life in Iowa as well. Very significant. And do you believe that the BCR metric should be modified?
Absolutely.
And how do you think that we can modify that?
Senator, I really don't want to presume how I would do that. I would want to get economists and the right people to get with me to look at that. But it's not right that there's people in this country will never, ever get any type of water infrastructure project under the current BCR analysis.
And I appreciate that point of view. And thank you for acknowledging that we do need to consider this. I think that is the first step for us moving forward with this, because of course the coastline property values are much more than what you will find in rural South Carolina or rural Iowa or rural Wyoming. So we do need to take a look at that, and I would love to work with you on that. And will you commit to working with me and the OMB to modify those metrics and do that in a timely manner? Let's work on that soon. Will you commit to that, assuming your confirmation?
Yes, ma'am, I sure will. Just give me time to, I would like, the first thing I would want to do, if confirmed, is to visit with OMB and EPA and Fish and Wildlife and Department of Agriculture and try to establish a working relationship.
Very good.
To the point where if you've got a problem, you can call or go over there. And I would like a little bit of time to do that. And then absolutely, yes, ma'am. I think this needs to be addressed for the benefit of the country. There's people, even in life safety issues, that are behind the lack of a project just because of the BC ratios.
Well, thank you very much. And I think collaboration is important, and a great working relationship between all of those agencies is imperative to making sure that we get this issue resolved. So thank you very much, Mr. James.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.